plants vulnerable to an invisible but very real threat. The government knows all about it. What are they doing to protect us? Oh yeah, I'll freak you out again coming up in tonight's real story. But first, can you believe all the stories in the newspapers and on TV? You just can't get away from everybody talking about this NAFTA Superhighway. Yeah, nobody's talking about it. It's a giant roadway that will run across the United States connecting Canada and Mexico. Why is no one talking about it? Because no one will admit to it. It's only crazy people like me that have even mentioned it, dare mention it on the air. I've told you before and I'll tell you again. When it comes to the government, it's all about misdirection. They grab your attention. Hey, everybody, look over here. And that's when they're doing the real work in the shadows over here when no one's looking. But, sorry to break it to Washington, I see you. We see that you're catering to big business and their pursuit of the almighty buck, and you're forgetting about we the people. The NAFTA Superhighway will hurt our national security. It'll open new avenues for illegal immigration. It's like giving Mexican drug cartels their own FedEx service. Doesn't sound like a good idea. We got enough border problems already. We don't need to open up an express lane, making things worse. One man who's doing what he can to stop this is somebody I have disagreed with in the past. His name is Congressman Virgil Good. He's a Republican from Virginia. Congressman, how are you, sir?
Fine, Glenn. How are you?
Okay. A lot of people, because they say it to me all the time, Glenn, there's no such thing as the NAFTA Superhighway. Oh, yeah, and I bet we didn't land on the moon.
Oh, you are exactly right. I heard what you were saying a few minutes ago. If the NAFTA Superhighway becomes a reality, and they're already working in Texas on the Trans-Texas Corridor, which is a massive multi-lane highway that will run from Mexico right on across the Rio Grande into Texas and then on up to Oklahoma and into Kansas City. If that becomes a reality, it will be a highway, as you pointed out, for smuggled goods, for illegal aliens, and potentially nuclear, radiological, or biological weapons.
Okay, here's the whole idea. What they want to do is they can bring products in from, let's say, China a lot less expensively into Mexico ports. They bring them into these Mexican ports. They bring them right across our border into this gigantic highway system. It's my understanding that we already have the first bid out, and the bid to build the Texas Trans-Corridor Highway didn't even go to an American company.
It's my understanding the same thing. A foreign company has the bid for the Trans-Texas Corridor, at least part of it, to start out with. And as you pointed out, China will ship goods to the west coast of Mexico, avoid the fees that would be incurred if you landed in the coast on California. Come on across Mexico, they'll never unload the trucks. The trucks will stay loaded with the containers that they get from China, and they will bring the containers to Kansas City or to where their point of delivery is. And that's very unsafe. We need the system that we have now where you unload the cargo when it crosses the Rio Grande and put it on a U.S. truck with a U.S. driver.
And the northern part of this highway has already been proposed. It's the Canadian, Asian Pacific Trans-Corridor, and that's coming in, and they say that that'll connect to 35. Tell me, Congressman, this is all a giant word game, it seems to me. Everyone will say, no, this isn't happening, but they won't deny the pieces of it. It's exactly like what they did with the amnesty bill. They couldn't get it through in one big bill, so they're breaking up, like the DREAM Act, and they're putting it in piece by piece. Am I wrong?
You're exactly right. It's a play on words. I had the opportunity to ask the Secretary of Transportation some questions before the Transportation Appropriations Subcommittee in the U.S. House. I believe she used the word NAFTA-related highways and highways that would increase our trade with Mexico and other countries south of our border. But I define it as a NAFTA superhighway, and NAFTA really, when it began back in the early 90s, it dreamed this, and those dreams are about to become a reality.
Am I overstating it, sir, to say that our sovereignty is under attack? It is being taken from us in the cover of darkness by these multinational corporations in bed with members of our own government, and we're just not going to wake up to it until it's too late.
Great summary. I would say this, there's a diverse view on multinational economy. Some believe that is the way to go. You do away with borders. You just have a North American Union, just like they have the European Union. I do not want that. It will be dangerous for our security. It's harmful for our safety, and it will erode the sovereignty of the United States of America.
Congressman, thank you very much. Keep up the good fight. All the people that are involved in this, I think they would all tell you, no, it's absolutely the way of the future, and it will help us. Coming up, an update to a fairly simple challenge. Write a letter to someone